Hello again guys, it's hokage here back with another video on the channel. So guys, I think you guys saw like my last what if, which was the what if Goku what if, which I did, which was what if Goku was smart and OP. I'm not gonna lie, that one was pretty not really that good. So I'm gonna move on to a Naruto what if, then I'm gonna continue the Goku sagas of my what ifs. So this is an idea I haven't really done on my channel, not that much, which I haven't done. So it's gonna be my first time doing this idea. I got this idea from a friend on Discord. We were just talking for a bit and they gave me their insight on this. So I hope you like it. If you guys want me to have, feature other people on the channel and just, comment down who do you want me to feature with. Yeah, so let's get straight into the video. This is part 1 of what if Naruto was the 5th Hokage. Yes, the 5th Hokage. So let's get straight into this video. So we're gonna start off this video with Naruto, 4-year-old Naruto. Naruto is right now heading over to the Hokage office. As you know, he arrives at the Hokage office. The secretary tries to chase him out, but Naruto, he makes a distraction and he rushes into the third Hokage's office. In the third Hokage's office, he finds the third Hokage, just sitting doing some paperwork, or not really doing paperwork. He's like, he's reading his Ichi Paradise, taking his time off the paperwork as well as puffing his pipe. So Naruto then rushes in as he says, "Oh, hey there, Naruto." Naruto then says, "Oh, Gigi, Oji-san, how are you?" And as the third says, "Oh, Naruto, I'm fine." So Naruto then says, "Oji-san, can I ask you a question?" Naruto says, which the other guy then says, "Oh, sure, Naruto boy. Hey, Oji-san, how does it feel, to be Hokage?" Which the third is shocked by, and then says, being Hokage, Naruto, is a very hard task, to be honest. You have to, carry the well-being of others. Everybody else is around you. You have to protect this village with your life. You see? Yes, you have to, to do this paperwork. So, Naruto then says, maybe I want to become a Hokage too. Which the third is excited about it and says, yeah, Naruto, you can be Hokage when you're strong enough. So Naruto then says, hey Oji-san, do you enjoy doing paperwork and reading these reports? Which the third then says, no Naruto, I don't really enjoy it. In fact, I don't really enjoy sitting behind this desk. I feel like I should be out there fighting. But since these are times of peace, I'm just sitting behind the table doing some paperwork. Naruto then says, hey Oji-san, is it possible that you could train me to become Hokage? Which the third is taken aback by this, like, train Naruto. The third Hokage's brain starts to move 1,000 miles per second, and then says, it wouldn't be a bad idea though. Then I get to retire early and leave this accursed paperwork. So as the third Hokage is planning the plan in his mind, with the other Kages, at this stone village, Anoki. I feel like Sarutobi is scheming something. Damn you, Sarutobi! Anoki says. And the same as the other, Kages, back to the leaf. So the third Kage then says, it will not be a bad idea, Naruto. Okay, Naruto. Come, to training field 7 at, around 5 a.m. Which Naruto then nods. So, Naruto then heads off back to his home. As you see the third Kage sitting down and says, maybe if I train Naruto to become the Hokage, it might just be like his father. As well as the Ninetales power, who knows what he could achieve? The third Hokage thinks to himself. He then looks at the picture of Minato and says, it seems your boy will follow in your footsteps, Minato, the third says. So time skip the next day. Naruto then goes training ground 7, where he meets up with the third Hokage. So the third Hokage left some of his anbus doing the paperwork, like the Anbo's which he trusts the most, damn it, which are I think Weasel and Dog, Itachi and Kakashi. Yeah. So the Todoroki then says, "So Naruto, I'm gonna start by teaching you on chakra." So the Todoroki then goes to explain what a chakra is. It's the physical manifestation. I think it's the physical and spiritual manifestation. We don't know its understanding all this since Naruto is a bit of a prodigy like his father. So Todoroki then teaches Naruto to unlock his chakra. So he then tells Naruto that you have to concentrate on your stomach. If you feel a warm feeling, hold on that warm feeling and do the hand signs. So Naruto then does the hand signs. His chakra, literally surrounds Naruto. Like it surrounds Naruto and it's glowing. Naruto then begins to notice that the life, like the trees, the grass, the air. He notices that the trees are growing bigger. The grass is growing taller and becoming much more greener. Which the third is like, no, which cannot be. The third thinks to himself, maybe I'll have to test Naruto on this. He says. So and then introduces Naruto to Might Guy, the Taijutsu specialist, where he then gives Might Guy the fourth Hokage's Taijutsu scroll, the hummingbird style. So the Might Guy already being well versed in Taijutsu, already knows the hummingbird style, so he begins to teach it to Naruto since other styles might be weird for him. So as a prodigy as Naruto is, he catches on to this hummingbird style pretty quickly. So it only takes him about 3 months to master the basic katas of the style. So he then continues his training. The Hokage then introduces Naruto to books, where he studies books on politics, relations, I don't know what you call it, etiquette. I don't know what you guys call that stuff. Not really sure. He begins training, on all those important values and everything. He also then gives Naruto, a list of the rules of Konoha, which Naruto, takes into account and reads the list, very much. So we're just gonna say time skip until Naruto is like 12, where Naruto begins his shinobi career. So during this time, Naruto's been going to the academy. He's been learning a lot. Since Naruto is much more settled and wants to fulfill his goals, he's been learning a lot in preparation, of becoming the Hokage. So Naruto has mastered, a lot of jutsus in his time. He also found out, that he has a few Kekkeigenkais, which came as a surprise. Flashback: 7-year-old Naruto. Naruto was just training, as the third Hokage then says, "Naruto, come here, my boy." As Naruto then came here, he then gives Naruto a paper. "Naruto, this is chakra paper. I want you to pump in your chakra into this paper," which Naruto then nods. So then Naruto pumped his chakra into the paper. As there was lightning, then there was water, there was earth and wind. So the third was shocked, that he almost has, all 5 elements except for fire. The third thinks to himself. So Naruto he keeps on Naruto then says, "So is this good, Oji-san?" Which the third then nods and says, very good, Naruto." So the third then takes another paper. This paper, is a special paper which shows if you have any Kekkeigenkai or not. So he then shows Naruto the paper and tells him to pump his chakra into it. So as Naruto pumps the chakra into it, it splits into 3 pieces. One part splits up and turns, into a branch of a tree. The other splits and becomes a golden chain. The other then splits up, as it just shows, a clan symbol. Or, it shows, the Uzumaki symbol on it. Which, the third Hokage is a bit confused by this and says, could be a dojutsu, the dojutsu of the Uzumaki. This dojutsu is rumored, to skip, a decade until there's a new user for it. The third Hokage thinks to himself. So, the third Hokage then invited Yamato to start training Naruto in the wood style, which Naruto then says Naruto began training it with his wood style. But since Naruto's wood style is much more advanced than Yamato's, he quickly caught on. The third Hokage then gave Naruto the first Hokage wood style techniques: the wood style several thousand hand, wood style golem statue, wood style laughing Buddha statue, wood style like the jutsu used to bind tailed beasts. The one for the wood style, great forest emergence, tons of wood style jutsus, which Naruto, pretty much caught on to. So Naruto also then started training, on the Uzumaki Kigegenkai, the chakra chains. So Naruto, the third Hokage gave Naruto his mother's scroll, as he told Naruto about his mother, and tells him that when he becomes a Chunin, he's gonna tell him about his father. So Naruto agreed to this, as he began opening the scroll. He read a letter from his mother. His mother then told him that Naruto comes from the Uzumaki clan. These their clan is well versed in seals and in kenjutsu, which Naruto is pretty much interested in. So Kushina had sealed, her sword, like the sword she had used, during the war times, the sword which she earned her nickname, the Red Hot Habanero, and also, directions on how to use the chakra chains, as well as the Uzumaki Dojutsu, since, she thought that, Naruto might obtain it. So, Naruto eventually, mastered the chakra chains, as well as, he unlocked the first stage of these Uzumaki Dojutsu. I'll show you the Uzumaki Dojutsu in the next part, if it happens, that is. Continuing on with the story. So we see Naruto in the academy. It's time, from the graduation exam. So this time, I might say the Uchiha massacre happened, but in a different way. Itachi and Shisui managed, Shisui managed to cast the Genjutsu on, some members of the clan, like, the clan elders and, Fugaku. So Itachi, hoping this might not happen again, he killed off, the clan elders, his father, and as well as the other clan elders. So, he then probably, and, then he went rogue. So Itachi, like, he didn't go rogue as such, but, Sasuke hates him. He wants to, like, he hates him for killing his father. But his mother's still alive, so they might keep him in the right path. So back, to the good story. Naruto is to begin his shinobi career. So today is the day of, the exams for becoming a Genin. Naruto is pretty pumped about this, but, he maintains his composure. He's not wearing, an obnoxious, jumpsuit. No, he's pretty much wearing, black shinobi pants, black shinobi boots, anbu, like an anbu top, like, as well as, a hoodie which covers him. So, that hoodie is lined up with tons and tons of seals, as well as, some black gloves. The only thing, which is orange, is like, the neck piece, which is like orange. Because not like still loves orange, but, he understands he has to be a shinobi. So, yeah, he maintains some good clothing sense. Carrying on with the stories. Naruto, they is then called up for him to do the exam. He throws the kunai, which he gets a 8 out of 10. He also does, the Korimi no Jutsu. He also does the shotgun technique, as well as he also shows one jutsu, which is, like the wind style, tree cutter, which, naturally is in a very powerful, gust of wind, which, like is in the form of blades, which slices and dices. So, Naruto is then awarded 4 marks to this. Naruto is then put on Team 7 under Kakashi Hatake, as well as in Itachi from time. Itachi is like the part-time sensei. So everything almost goes the same as in canon, where they do the bell test, with Sasuke being cocky as he usually is. Sakura not even helping Naruto since she thinks Naruto is a demon, so he doesn't even help him. So Naruto eventually knocks some sense into about his teammates, as they eventually work together and end up getting the bells. I'm not gonna say how they do it, since it's probably a waste of you guys and my time as well. So continuing on with the story, they first get their first D rank mission, where Naruto and the team, as well as Itachi as well. But Itachi is like a part-time sensei, as I said. So their first D rank mission is to capture Tor the cat, which Tor actually proves a challenge for them. Until Naruto slaps a seal on Tor's an invisible seal which just like used as a summoning jutsu. So, after this, they then head over to office with Tora. The daimyo's wife, gets Tora and she squeezes the life out of him as Tora then runs away. So, the third Hokage seeing this and says, so I think your next mission is to go catch Tora the cat. Naruto then says, let me do it. As Naruto begins to run through hand size and says, summoning jutsu. As there's a puff of smoke and Tora is right there. Which, Sarutobi be shocked about it. Like, what? How is this possible, Naruto? And then says, he slapped or something. Seal on Tora so that, he doesn't, each time we can run away, we can just summon him here rather than wasting a lot of time. Which the Hokage then says, Naruto, I need, this, summoning thing. As Naruto then gives Sarutobi the summoning scroll for Tora. Which, he then keeps it, in the table close. So it's the presents, the daimyo with the cat, and the daimyo's wife heads over. So, life for Team 7 goes apparently normal, but a bit much better since Naruto is not an entire Nago head, so that during missions cruise on very fast. So, the day of the C rank, Naruto and his team have just finished, painting a village wall. Not painting the village wall, like painting a farmer's fence, as they then go to the office saying mission is complete. So, the third says, maybe if I give them a C rank mission, we can see, what Naruto is fully capable of. So, then gives them a C rank mission, which, is like to go with, Tazna, as well as, to assassinate Gato, which is like Itachi's mission. Itachi's mission is, to kill Gato, which, he's given that mission with Naruto as well. They are to go and assassinate Gato, and, take his belongings and take control of his company so he can benefit Konoha, as well as, Wave Village. Which, they wanna which like Wave is like, almost in the land of fire. It's just like a miniature island out. So they wanna like, pull Wave into the land of fire, making it also like a land of fire's trading port. So the mission goes on a lot much the same. Which, when they arrive at the puddles, Naruto throws in a kunai into the holes, as the demon brothers jump out, which are Gozo and Mizu. They wrap their chains around, Kakashi and Itachi, as they're then shredded to pieces, which they replace themselves, which Naruto notices. Naruto and Sasuke, they then manage to kill Mizu, and then they bind Gozu. Which they then question Gozu, and Gozu, is reluctant until Itachi comes out, he does use some of that Sharingan Genjutsu to get the answers he needs. He then sends a message back to the village, that this mission might be an A rank or higher, but they then continue on with this mission. They don't give up, they continue on with the mission. They go to the bridge where they then begin their fight with Zabuza. By this time with Itachi being there, Zabuza is much more fearful, so he doesn't stick around that much. He dips after fighting Kakashi for a bit. Kakashi slips up as he then gets trapped in a water prison. But Zabuza doesn't notice Itachi as Itachi puts a blade to his neck, so he then lets go of Kakashi as Itachi then lets Zabuza go, not really that injured. So they ran over to Tazuna's house as they then arrive. Everything happens as much as in canon. At dinner time, pretty much Inari's speech is pretty much the same, which I pretty much hate. I really hate Inari for talking shit. That guy he did not know any pain since Naruto went through like a lot of pain, bruh. Imagine like at 4 years old, everyone hating you, bruv. No one not even likes you or anything, so it might have hurt Naruto a lot. Sorry about that guys. I think I'm getting a bit too tired since I just came from doing some other stuff. Continuing out the story, they then begin their training the next morning, as everything pretty much goes according to plan. So we see Naruto and Itachi. Itachi has been spying on Kato's compound with his crows, making sure to gather as much data as needed so they can go and assassinate him. Naruto then creates 2 wood clones and tells them to sink to the ground, and take out the security. Which the clones, without wasting time, they take out the security which is surrounding the compound, as Itachi and Naruto head inside. They then put on some blank masks, like the root mask, as they begin to kill all the people inside there. Soon as they're killing and killing and killing, they eventually arrive to where Gato is. They find Gato, sitting on a chair, reading, counting some stacks of money. So, Itachi then puts a blade to Gato's neck as Gato is shocked about it, then begins to beg for his life. He then says, I can give you money, women, power, which Naruto then says, we're not gonna need any of that. So, Itachi, then kills Gato, sealing his head into a scroll, which Naruto had given him. He then puts the scroll in his pouch. Naruto, then says, I'm gonna create some shadow clones so they can gather the detail and as well as Gato's money, which is in here, so that you can also control the company. So, Naruto then, like goes into Gato's computer. He uses, his smart brain since he has been learning. He begins, to hack inside. He then takes, all the account numbers. He transfers, the money which is in Gato's account to, he transfers, like 3/4 of Gato's money into his own account. As he then like cashes like he transfers like all of Gato's online funds into his account, which is later gonna give them back to the leaf so he can help with the rebuilding of the leaf or other stuff. He also then goes into Gato's safe where he also starts to seal up the money. He then takes the scroll. He then puts like about 3 million Ryu in it, which is gonna give the Wave Village to get back on its feet. Then he takes another scroll. He then says 1 million Ryu in it. He gives that to Itachi. Takes another scroll and puts another million Ryu into it. He's gonna give that to Kakashi. Then Naruto then takes about the 15 million Ryu which is left, as well as some of the gold and jewels and everything which remains in the scroll. He also finds some weapons which are inside there, and he also takes those. Naruto then heads over to the crates where the slaves are. As he then frees out the slaves. As he then among those slaves he finds a girl. This girl is Fu. Since like Fu's village pretty much is poor, so they decided to sell Fu into slavery. And then he says, are you okay? Which Fu says, I'm fine. Itachi, looks at Fu, with the Sharingan, as he notices that, she is a third beast. He then says, this might be actually helpful for the Leaf Village. So, then he invites Fu, to come with them, as they then over to, like, Tasuna's house, where, they meet up with the rest of the team. Naruto then hands over, the scroll with 3 million Ryu to Tasuna, which Tasuna is pretty thankful for, so this can help, the village get back onto its feet. He then gives the scroll to Kakashi, as Kakashi, sees, there's a million Ryu into it, as he then just chuckles and pats Naruto on the head and says, thank you, Naruto. Naruto then keeps the scroll, one scroll to himself, and the other scroll, with other things. So, I can say, the second meeting with, Zabuza does not happen, since, Zabuza sees that, his client is already dead. So he doesn't even stick around, he immediately just dips. So then after guarding Tazuna for a few more weeks, then head off back to the Leaf Village, leaving Tazuna to work on this village and get it back to shape. So when they arrive, they then report, as Sasuke and Sakura are sent out, with the report being, Naruto, Itachi, and Kakashi staying to do the report. So Kakashi then reports on how everything went. His daughter also then reports how his mission to assassinate Gato with Itachi went. He then gives Saratobi a scroll with some of Gato's funds, which he tells Saratobi to keep for later use, so he can help the village. Which Saratobi perfectly agrees with now that this money might help the village out later. So after this they're then told about the Chunin exams, which Kakashi takes 2 papers, which is gonna give Sasuke and Sakura. That was already taken his paper and signed it. He's just gonna hope his other teammates sign it. So Naruto then heads over out of the Hokage offices. He goes to Ichiraku Ramen. When he arrives at Ichiraku Ramen, he then asks for 10 balls of ramen, which he gets his 10 balls and seals them up. He then heads over to Konoha's Konoha Bank. He then goes there to cash out the money in his account. As to then cashes out the 15 million Ryu which is there, and changes into hard cash. As he puts in a storage scroll on his wrist so he can keep his funds safe. So Naruto then heads over to his apartment to sleep, since it's been a long mission for him. Time for the Chunin exams. We then see Team 7 heading over to the academy, where they're gonna do the first stage of the Chunin exams. When, on the way, they meet, the Sand team, which Naruto is pretty suspicious about. And you also notice that, um, a, a guy with a gore on his back and says, the one just Shinjuriki from the sand. So I think Naruto would already know this since he has been like in ties with Sarutobi, so Naruto would probably know this about the other Jinjurikis. Sarutobi would have told him. So everything the meeting goes the same. Is they head over to the academy. At the academy, they are greeted by Kakashi and Itachi at the gates. Which then tells them good luck. So the team then heads in. When Sasuke is about to say release the Genjutsu, not to put some out on over his hand over Sasuke's mouth, it tells him that it's to weed out the weaker people, which Sasuke notices a mistake, and he then nods. So they then head in. Everything happens the same with Kabuto pulling up and says that he's been doing these exams for like a while, but he hasn't passed to become a genin, like a chunin. So Ibiki then comes in, puts out the test papers and tells them you're not supposed to cheat. But not being smart, he doesn't even need to cheat. He just writes the answers which are coming straight from his mind since he's been studying a lot. Uncle then comes in and tells him to go to training ground 44, where they're gonna begin the fourth stage, the second stage of the Chunin exam. So that stage of the Chunin exams happens pretty much similar. Team 7 gets attacked by Orochimaru, with Orochimaru branding Sasuke with his curse mark, as or everything in the Forest of Death pretty much goes the same. So they then arrive at the tower with only 2 days to spare. As Naruto opens up the scrolls, as long as he's also carrying Sasuke on his back since he knocked out Sasuke. So when he arrives, it's Kakashi who comes out of the scroll. Itachi as well, arrives as he then checks on Sasuke. Naruto then tells them about the mark on Sasuke's neck, as they then take Sasuke to a ceiling room so that they can throw the mark away. As the preliminaries are gonna begin. So we start this with um the preliminaries. So the preliminaries are gonna go pretty much the same until you can say the Hinata and Neji fight, with Neji beats Hinata, but Hinata would have blocked like 25% of Neji's chakra points. So Hinata's father is pretty much proud. He already knew that Hinata might lose, so he's not gonna belate Hinata for that or anything. So I'm just gonna say Hiyashi is a much more better father than he was in canon, because he was a total asshole in canon. So continuing on with the story, it's Naruto's match where Naruto is supposed to fight Kiba. Naruto is not even gonna waste time with Kiba. He's just gonna create a shadow clone which is gonna go and beat Kiba to a bloody pulp. Kiba, does not really give up that easily. He then says, Getsuga. Kiba says, it's like sparing tunneling fang. It's not, sees this coming, but not, sends a chakra enhanced fist as he slams his hand into Kiba, stopping Kiba's spinning. As he then punches Kiba under the neck, sending Kiba up into the sky. Naruto appears in front on top of him as Naruto shoves his foot down and slamming Kiba into the ground, knocking Kiba out. Naruto then gets declared the winner. As it's now Gaara versus Rock Lee, with Gaara beating Rock Lee much easier as he's about to go and crush Lee. Naruto manages to get into the way as he saves Lee. So Lee is pretty thankful to Naruto, but he's then taken up to hospital. So Naruto then after that everyone goes downstairs where they're given the number of their matches. So it's gonna be a bit different. The first match is gonna be Temari versus Shikamaru. There's also gonna be Shino versus Dosu. There's also gonna be Naruto versus Gaara, Sasuke versus Neji. Like following that same pattern, something like that. They then told they have like 1 month to go train, which Naruto then heads over to the third Hokage. He then says so Gramps, who am I gonna be training with for this 1 month? So the third Hokage then shows Naruto is gonna be training with with Jiraiya of the Sunny, which then says, Jiraiya of the Sunny. Is indeed that guy who writes Icha Paradise? Which Saratobian then says, yes, Naruto is that one. You're gonna go and find Jiraiya at the hot springs, probably in a tree peeping on women. The third Hokage says. So Naruto then nods, as Naruto then heads off to the hot springs. So it's gonna be a bit different. Sasuke is taken by Itachi to go and train him, since Itachi has the Sharingan and knows much better how to use it. Kakashi, is gonna be sent, on some A to S rank missions, which he's gonna fulfill on his own. With Itachi as well when Itachi is free. So forget about those people. We now see Naruto arriving at the hot springs. He then finds, Jiraiya in a tree peeping on women. So Naruto then says, Oi, oi, pervert, oi, hey yo, old man. Jiraiya then says, Shh, Brett, can't you see I'm trying to do some research? Come and bother me later. So Naruto then sees, some women in the hot springs putting on their towels as they start coming that way. Naruto immediately jumps up into the trees. As when Jiraiya comes, looks back, he says, I'm a buff women as they start beating Jiraiya down. Which, Jiraiya begging for mercy, but, they beat him down. As, Jiraiya feels lots of pain from that. But, try again manage. Since, I doubt, that shit hurt Jiraiya. So then he says, oh, so, can we talk now? Which Jordan says, fine, Brett. So Naruto says, oh, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I'm supposed to be training with you for the 1 month training period. Which then says, oh, so you're Naruto. Very well. When I begin training you, so are you able to control, the chakra of the nine tails? Jiraiya says. Which then says, no, not really. I really don't want to become dependent on the nine tails chakra. I'm going to have to learn, to master the ninth chakra when I'm a bit older, since, those effects would, using this chakra now, it would be poisonous from my chakra cores, which would damage them, resulting in decreasing my lifespan. So, Jiraiya then knows it says, okay, so I'm going to teach you some jutsu, as well as, the summoning technique. So, Jiraiya then teaches Naruto the summoning technique, which Naruto, signs the Toad contract, as he summons, Gamabunta. No, he doesn't summon Gamabunta. He summons Gamamaru, the chief, the elder toad, which Jiraiya is flabbergasted about and says, boy, are you the one who summoned me? Gamamaru says. Naruto then says, yes, Toad-sama. So, Gamamaru then, approves of Naruto being the summoner. He doesn't even need to test him, since Naruto is powerful enough to summon him. So, he just, allows Naruto to become the new summoner. So, after that, Jiraiya teaches Naruto the Rasengan and tells him that the Rasengan is incomplete. So Naruto is not even going to waste time with, the completion of the Rasengan. As he adds his affinity, since Naruto's affinity control, I say it's much better since he learned it earlier. So he then ends, wins out the Rasengan, as it turns into a shuriken. Naruto then tries to throw it, but he sees that if he throws it, the jutsu destabilizes, so it's impossible to throw. And then says, gonna have to find a workaround around that. So the 1 month training period comes to an end. So we then head over, to the place for training. So we see, the Hokage, the fourth Kazekage. I think it's the fourth Kazekage, the third Kazekage. Yes, I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure. What Kazekage, was Gaara's father. So we then see, the third Hokage, as he's sitting there waiting for these exams to start. He then does his speech welcoming everyone to the exams. So the exams pretty much go the same for the first parts, with the first fight being Neji and Sasuke. So with Itachi being there, Sasuke is not late. So the first fight goes as this. So Neji then begins to talk about his fate, saying that I'm entitled to be the winner, Uchiha. I'm gonna show you the power of the Yuga clan. That they're the most powerful clan out there. With Sasuke then saying, I've had enough of your fate speaking and bullshit. I'm gonna beat you. So they begin fighting with Sasuke easily following Neji's fighting style thanks to his Sharingan, which is like three Tomoe in one eye and two Tomoe in the other. Since he's been training with Itachi pretty intensely, so he's improved pretty much a lot. So Sasuke starts to fire some fireball jutsus, some fire style phoenix flower jutsus. We know with Neji using his rotation to counter them. So Neji then manages to stun Sasuke's hand, as he then begins to go on an onslaught of punching Sasuke's chakra points. So that because of the pain Sasuke is feeling, he unlocks the other Tomoe in his other eye, making it three Tomoe in both eyes. So now Sasuke casts a genjutsu around himself so that Neji cannot see the chakra points. So the chakra points are a bit hazy. Sasuke takes advantage of this as he plunges his fist into Neji's gut. He then uppercuts him, going up into the air. Sasuke then goes through and signs and says, Fire Style Fire Dragon Jutsu, as he hits Neji head on with the Fire Style Fire Dragon Jutsu. So when Neji drops down to the ground, he is already knocked out, as they declare Sasuke Uchiha the winner. So all the rest of the battles pretty much go the same until it's time for Naruto and Gaara's battle. Naruto arrives with Jiraiya as usual. So Jiraiya then heads over on top of the Kage, into the Kage booth with the third Kage, which Orochimaru, under the disguise of Rasta, grieses his teeth. So Jiraiya, the third Kage then says Jiraiya he should get down there and wish your student good luck. Jiraiya then says, no, I've already done that. My student is pretty strong. Just to tell the nods. So the third then says, so Jiraiya, you're training him in all those things I told you. Which Jiraiya then says, yes, he's pretty much the perfect person to take on everything after you're gone. So the Jiraiya says, which the third Hokage then nods his head in approvance of the training methods Jiraiya has been using. So continuing on with the video, Naruto then heads over to the participating ring where he waits for Gaara to appear. So pretty much Gaara appears with using his sand solution as their match begins. Gaara then launches a torrent of sand towards Naruto, with Naruto running through and says lightning style lightning laser circuits as he fires a torrent of lightning pretty much destroying the sand, which Gaara hits his teeth. Gaara then uses more of his sand to send some sand spears at Naruto, which Naruto has to use his wind style decapitating airways to cut off these spikes. So Gaara continues throwing attacks of sand. Naruto then goes onto the offensive instead of the defensive, since he has defended pretty much enough. Naruto then begins to close onto Gaara's sand defense. So Naruto uses his enhanced chakra fist as well as some water style to soak Gaara's sand. So Gaara's sand it becomes useless. Naruto then punches Gaara as he sends Gaara flying up into the air. Naruto then jumps as he then RKO's I think he does an RKO on Gaara, almost knocking him out. He then proceeds to stab Gaara as Gaara then sees his blood. Gaara then says yeah, my blood, that stuff he normally does, like saying about his blood. As Gaara then heads over into his One Tails form. So the invasion immediately begins as Kabuto casts the Genjutsu. Gaara's siblings then grab Gaara to take him over to the forest. Naruto then heads over as he sees the Kazekage grabbing the Hokage. Is a bear suddenly appears. Naruto then heads over there, but the Hokage then says Naruto, no matter what happens if I die in this you have to take over for me, Naruto. I have trained you to become strong enough. The fire daimyo also knows everything. So, Naruto then nods. Sarutobi then says, Naruto, keep the wheel of fire burning as well as, improve our beloved village, he says. Shiro then, says, good luck, Terokage, old man. I'm gonna miss you, Naruto says as he sobs a bit. Naruto, then heads over, to where Gaara is to continue the fight. He sees, Sasuke fighting with Gaara, but Sasuke then gets bound up to a tree. So, he immediately goes and helps to free Gaara, removing him from getting binded by the tree. So Naruto then begins this battle with Gaara, kicking his ass pretty much, since Gaara is not thinking that much. Gaara, then does the possum jutsu as he transforms into Shikaku. Yes, I'm finally out! Shikaku screams. Yes, time to kill some bloody humans, Shikaku says. Naruto then says, I've had enough of this. I've had a long day, Naruto says. Then goes to it and says, wood style, wood golem, wood style, wood dragon jutsu. As Shukaku is shocked, he remembers what this jutsu did to him. No, no, no! I will not be so again! Shikaku cries out as Naruto and says, come here, you one-tailed. So, Naruto and Shikaku begin fighting as Shikaku, launches, some wind bullets at Naruto, destroying the wood golem a bit, but, he quickly reforms thanks to Naruto's, humongous chakra reserves, which are, even at this point, bigger than Hashirama's chakra reserves. So, Naruto then binds Shikaku by the neck, with the wood style wood dragon jutsu, as it begins, to suck away Shikaku's chakra. So, as the chakra is being sucked away, Shikaku begins to crumble as his consciousness is sent back into the steel. Naruto, then punches Gaara, waking him up as Gaara then falls on the ground. So, Gaara then does, these like, no, I will not let you end my existence thing, but Naruto doesn't even give a fuck. Naruto then, does the talk on the jutsu on Gaara, as, Anbus then come and, take Gaara as well as Temari and Kankuro to the prison, where, they're gonna be kept for later. So, when I say, the Konoha crash eventually comes to an end, with the third Hokage defeating the first and the second. The fourth, did not come out since, the third Hokage prevented the fourth from coming out since it would be already too troublesome. The third Hokage, also managed, to seal away Orochimaru's arms, so Orochimaru cannot use any jutsu. Orochimaru seeing this, he eventually escapes, dipping from the village. So the Konoha crash, then ends. Some of the shinobi which are fortunate enough, they escape heading back to their various villages, but those who are not lucky enough are either caught by Anbu or killed on the site. So, the whole village finds out, about the third Hokage's death, which, everyone is sad about, especially Naruto, since Naruto, has been caught the most. Itachi comforts Naruto about this, telling Naruto that, it's gonna be okay. As, we then move on to the next day. So, the next day in the council chambers, the civilian council, the shinobi council, as well as the elders, whereas, Jiraiya, and, the Anbu commander, which is, Itachi, is there. Since, Itachi was like the part-time sensei for Team 7, but he was also the Anbu commander. So, the fire daimyo is also there. As they're discussing about, what's to become the fifth Hokage. So, as this discussion is going on, Danzo, then suggests, no, like, not Danzo, Shikaku suggests, Kakashi Hachige to become, the fifth Hokage. Which, everyone, who is around this says, yeah, that's pretty much interesting, but, isn't he, being lazy and stuff? He's been out of shape for a while now. So maybe it can be handed over, to Itachi. As Itachi then says, no, I'm not really interested in being Hokage. Which, his mother is shocked about, since Itachi's mother, I think she's like, the standing clan head. Since, Itachi is like the armed commander, so she's the standing clan head. So, Danzo then suggests himself with, everyone saying no, Danzo is methods are too extreme. So, Jia then says, the third Hokage had a student who he was, teaching to become Hokage. He taught him everything he needs to know. Which, the fire diamond then says, oh yes, I remember now. Sir Toby, told me about a certain boy who was gonna become his replacement when he became of age. But, seeing that, Sir Toby trained this boy, he has got, all the experience he needs to run this village. So, The civilian council is pretty much, shocked that the Hokage was training someone which they didn't know about. As well as Danzo is gritting his teeth that, damn Mr. Toby, now that I can become the fifth Hokage, what am I gonna do? Danzo says, scheming in his mind. So, Jiraiya is then sent, to call Naruto. As Naruto is then called, to the council room. Naruto, ready, knowing what's going to happen, gets himself ready. As he then arrives, he then bows to the Fire Daimyo, as well as the Civilian Council, and, the Shinobi Council, as well as the elders. He greets them all. So, the Fire Daimyo then says, so, Naruto, you know why you've been summoned here, right? And Naruto then nods and says, yes, Fire Daimyo-sama, I am to become the fifth Hokage, the replacement of, Lord Third. Which, the Fire Daimyo then nods and says, so we'll accept it. Then says, yes, I'll gladly accept it, since, the third Hokage has been training me for this all my life. He's been preparing me and he's showed me the areas which he could not fix, so I'm going to have to fix them. So, the Fire Daimyo then, agrees with everything. It says, very well, Naruto, you are now the fifth Hokage of the hidden village in the leaves. So, Naruto is pretty much happy that, he's been declared Hokage, as, he then heads over the council. The council meeting is then concluded. Naruto, then heads up, to his office as well as with the Fire Daimyo. Now that the Fire Daimyo began charging, as Naruto tells the Fire Daimyo about some certain ideas which he has to improve, Konoha's standing, as well as, to get some other alliances. He also, then asked the Fire Daimyo about how Wei Village is going, which the Fire Daimyo told him that, it's been going pretty much excellently. All the ports there have been repaired, so, if war ever comes, you can be able to transport the shinobis by water. As well as they've also been building some boats, which they got from Kiri, since the rebels also prevailed. So Naruto then says, very much interesting. Naruto then says, ask the Fire Daimyo, if you could dismiss the civilian council, since they have not been helping and they've only been corrupting the village. Which the Fire Daimyo agrees to this, and says, about the elders, I think it's time they get replaced. Because, their usefulness is run out. They're pretty much, old sacks of flesh and bones, and, they've gotten too muchly used to the power. This village, is a dictatorship, not, a village, led by multiple people. Which, the Fire Daimyo is acknowledging Naruto and says, you become the very great Hokage. So, Naruto then gets coronated 3 days later, as everyone I know accepts him as, the fifth Hokage. So, Naruto pretty much, as he becomes Hokage, he then, drops out of Team 7. So you can just say, Sasuke's thing pretty much goes the same as, Sasuke, being heavily influenced by the curse mark. He goes with the Sound 5. Naruto then sends a retriever team after them. It's pretty much everything almost happens the same, but Sasuke escapes as he has to Orochimaru. Naruto in the village continues his rebuilding of the village, as well as, planning to get some more alliances. So, guys, I'm gonna leave off part 1. There's also gonna be part 2, which I think is pretty much gonna be the last part of this. So, please like and subscribe to this channel, and, yeah, keep safe, guys.